Hands of the President of the United States. It's really heartbreaking to know anything about it.
He left, and we took him out and put him into the hearse.
The President's body has apparently been taken from Parkland Hospital, and we have received unconfirmed reports that it will be flown back to Washington.
We're not sure right now, Walt. It looks like that Mrs. Kennedy may be in a state of shock. Of course, there are many rumors that are floating around.
Now the mortal remains of the President leaving Parkland Hospital. Mrs. Kennedy is in the hearse. All of the curtains drawn.
Here comes a white hearse, which is leaving the hospital, followed by cars full of Secret Service men, and one last motorcycle.
I see our Fort Worth newsman, Fred Hatton, who's on the scene. He's just come running up to the wagon. Fred, what's the situation?
Walter, they are going to swear the Vice President in as President at Love Field at this time.
We've just been told that Vice President Johnson will be sworn in at Love Field within the next few minutes. We'll try to bring you details of that event as they happen. Walter Evans reporting from Parkland Hospital. We're now going to the airport.
We have received a report that Vice President Lyndon Johnson is to be sworn in as President of the United States momentarily at Dallas Love Field. We also had a report on the motorcade that was approaching that area.
The bronze casket was put on Air Force One, the President's plane.
Mrs. Kennedy came in without assistance. Her hose on both legs was virtually saturated with blood. There was also a quantity of blood on her dress.
Vice President Johnson was in the compartment of the plane, the front part of which carried President Kennedy's body at the time. He squeezed in as many people in the compartment as would fit, and one photographer, the official White House photographer, Federal Judge Sarah T. Hughes of Dallas, swore in Lyndon Johnson as President of the United States.
After the swearing-in ceremonies, President Johnson reportedly kissed Mrs. Kennedy and then his wife. And then he said, and these are the only words he is reportedly to have uttered after the swearing-in ceremonies, "Let's get this plane back to Washington."
The United States of America now has a new president, President Lyndon Baines Johnson.
The plane carrying the President's body is now turning around at the end of the runway here at Love Field and is about to take off.
On the rear of the jet is an American flag, significant of the office of the President of the United States. The President is now leaving Dallas, Texas. This, one of the blackest days in the history of the United States.
May I have your name, please, sir?
My name is Abraham Zapruder.
Mr. Zapruder?
Zapruder, yes, sir.
Zapruder. And would you tell us your story, please, sir?
I got out and about a half hour earlier, getting a good spot to shoot some pictures. And I found a spot, one of these concrete blocks that I have down near that park near the underpass. And I got on top there was another girl from my office. She was right behind me. And as I was shooting, as the President was coming down from Houston Street making his turn, it was about halfway down there, I heard a shot. And he slumped to the side like this. Then I had another shot or two. I couldn't say what it was, one or two. And I saw his head practically open up, all blood and everything. And I kept on shooting. That's about all. I'm just sick again.
I think that pretty well expresses the entire feelings of the whole world. You have the film in your camera. We'll try
yes, I brought it on the studio. Yeah.
We'll try to get that processed and have it as soon as possible. Right now, we have videotape.
Here in downtown Dallas, there is an extra edition of a newspaper out, and it is very abundant on the streets. It says simply, "President Dead." The atmosphere in Dallas, which is at this time wind-blown, is one of a crowded street. The streets are jammed with automobiles, and the sidewalks with people who are just standing there. Just standing, occasionally reading a newspaper, talking to one another without expression on their faces. And it's a solemn day in Dallas.
This is the way the city of Dallas is today. People are walking the streets. No one is doing any work. Everyone is sitting and talking and wondering how in the world it could happen in the city of Dallas. How could it happen here?
Andrews, Air Force One. Air Force One, Andrews, go ahead, sir. Roger, the President is on board, the body is on board, and Mrs. Kennedy is on board. Break Crown Air Force One, volunteer requesting a patch with Mrs. Rose Kennedy. You have her standing by?
Roger, Roger. I'm going to put Mrs. Rose Kennedy on the line now.
Hello?
Yes, Mrs. Kennedy, I have Mr. Johnson for you here. Ms. Kennedy?
Yes. Yes, Mr. President.
I wish to God there was something that I could do, and I wanted to tell you that we were grieving with you.
Yes, well, thank you very much. I know you love Jack and he loves you. Yes.
Love and prayers to all of you.
Yes, well, thank you, Lady Bird. Thank you very much. Goodbye. Goodbye. Air Force One, Air Force Command Post, going.
Will you please advise press that normal press coverage, including live TV, will be allowed at the base?
During the flight, arrangements were made to take President Kennedy's body to Bethesda Naval Hospital by ambulance upon arrival at Andrews.
Behind it come Mrs. Kennedy and Robert Kennedy. They are to ride in the ambulance, normally to Bethesda Hospital, where the body will remain for the night.
As President Johnson arrived at Andrews Air Force Base tonight, he made remarks to newsmen gathered there.
Volunteers, repeat, volunteers will make statement on arrival. Will make statement on arrival.
I know that the world shares the sorrow that Mrs. Kennedy and her family bear. I will do my best. That is all I can do. I ask for your help and God's.
For a man who must feel an almost crushing burden of awesome responsibility on his shoulders right now, the new president looks composed, resolved. In this sad and terrible hour in the history of the country.
Lee Harvey Oswald, 24-year-old admitted pro-communist, has now been charged in Dallas with the assassination of the president.